Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. This is a special segment and we have two returning guests and we're going to be talking about transnational repression. What are the different places where this is happening and why Hindus are suddenly become collateral damage in this. We have two guests from HinduPACT. Let's welcome them. Ajay Shahji and Deepti Mahajan ji. Namaskar. How are you?
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Thank,
Shia. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Ajay ji, I'll jump right into it. There are so many things going about. This TnR, this is something that has seems to have suddenly raised its head, especially after the SB-509 bill being piloted through the California State Assembly and Senate. Give our viewers a little bit of a backdrop on how this thing originated, what is the United Nations stance on it, and should I, as a content creator on YouTube, be concerned also? Over to you.
Yeah, so Shizi, really good questions, and I think this is a topic that is being flying under the radar for some time now. TNR stands for Transnational Repression, and the transnational repression generally refers to a government reaching out outside its own borders and repressing its citizens or former citizens who are dissidents of their own current government or the positions that the current government has taken. So it turns out the United Nations has now come out with a formal definition of what constitutes transnational repression. So the UN defines the transnational repression as actions by governments to silence, intimidate, or harm critics and dissidents abroad. This includes, and please note these words, these includes online harassment, surveillance, enforced disappearances, targeting of relatives, and physical attacks such as assassination. Now, if you look at it in a very innocent way, like, so look, no reasonable person is going to stand up and say that we are for assassination outside or within their own borders. None of us is going to say that, yeah, physical attacks are okay or targeting relatives back home is okay or forced disappearance is okay. But it also includes online harassment. And I'll come to that as to how this whole thing evolved. Now, the whole idea of transnational repression was gaining some momentum here and there. But if you recall, a few years ago, uh, in late 2010, so 2017-18, Khashoggi, who was a Saudi dissident, he lived in Washington, D.C., was a journalist. He was called to the Saudi embassy in Turkey, and they told him that, look, let's just meet and we'll resolve our issues. And when he went there, he was assassinated in Saudi embassy in Turkey, and that really raised this issue to a new level because all the Western democracies were very alarmed that how can you let this kind of thing happen? That in our own borders, somebody's coming in, a foreign government comes in and carries out an assassination like this. So human rights organizations like Freedom House started putting out the reports, and so the first report came out in 2017, and after that there have been a barrage of reports. Now if you look at, and then they say, look, there are all these repressive regimes, whether it is Saudi Arabia or Russia or North Korea or even Turkey, uh, these are the, and some of the other ones, right? So these are the regimes, and China, of course, these are the regimes that regularly repress their citizens uh, outside of their borders and the dissidents' relatives within their own borders. So we should do something about it. So this goes on in 2017-18. More reports come out. There's a whole ecosystem of these organizations. So once the Freedom House puts out a report, then maybe Human Rights Watch takes it up, and after Human Rights Watch takes it up, somebody else takes it up. So we, in our report that we have published on our website, we have a list of all of these reports that have been published. So you see that no mention of India in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. All of a sudden, a Freedom House report, for the first time, India makes an appearance. That, oh, look, India is also a repressive regime. Now, note all the other governments, whether it's China, whether it's Russia, whether it's Saudi Arabia or North Korea, they're all repressive regimes. India is the only democracy that is included in that. So this is the evolution of a whole narrative, and they enter it. India enters this discussion via the Khalistani narrative that look, India is a repressor of Khalistanis settled abroad. So I'll pause there.
I would
Thank you
add,
so much.
Shriji, that
Yes, go ahead.
for
Go
your
ahead.
audience, that please visit our website, hindupact.org /TnR. And Hindu Pact has done very, very detailed. This is the most comprehensive report and information that you can find on this topic.
Thank you so much. And Dipti, I'll defer to you. After where Ajay Shahji stopped, this Khalistani issue, now what we noticed was that Pannu, who's wanted for various things in India, his house got demolished in Chandigarh. And looks like that triggered off something saying that, I've been targeted and so on and so forth. The whole sequence of events that took place. Let's not touch that part. But let's look at it from a TNR perspective. TNR is saying that they'll add these countries, but is TNR also looking at the kind of crimes committed by these individuals who may have fled on the false pretext of persecution?
Exactly. So I think you hit the nail rightly, Shierji. We are basically these ideologies that are behind this DNR. They are targeting Indian government or a democratic government to not take action on the individuals who are committing crime in that country. So there is a due process that all these governments follow. It is not an arbitrary decision to the things that they're coming up with. Oh, their OCI was revoked, or these individuals families faced certain issues back home and they are being targeted. There's a democratic process, there's a legal process every country follows, and especially a democratic country like India. And are we propagating that any US action taken against any individuals in other countries is unlawful? Is it illegal on part of US government if we take these actions from our own country's government in light of what India is doing, or any other country for that matter that has been named in this report? That is ideologically challenging ask of other countries.
Thank you so much. And Ajayji, I'll come back to you. Let's take a quick look at the SB-509. It's a state bill that is being piloted through the Assembly and the Senate. Now, immigration is a federal matter, nothing to do with state. Then why is, in your opinion, California wasting its taxpayers' money piloting such a legislation?
So, CG, you may be surprised to know that California was actually not the first state. I know that the original bill was introduced last year, explicitly mentioned India. This year they removed the reference to India, but it's still very much targeting India. But remember, California bill is only to educate the law enforcement officers in identifying what is transnational repression. Texas actually passed a
But that
bill.
already, Sergi, 1 second, that's already been done. There is money allocated, training has already been
Right,
done
but
in
it's only
California.
training.
It's a
It's only
redundant.
training. No, what I was saying is that 2024 bill lapsed and they brought it back in 2025 rather, and the 2025 bill is only education. But the surprising part is that Texas actually passed a bill in March on transnational repression, and there it is a crime. It's a criminal offense if you are promoting any of these transnational repression facets or six dimensions or any of those. If you're promoting in US, including, as I said, that it can affect someone like you and us who do these online shows, because we can be considered harassing someone by talking about them. So if I'm on my show and I'm criticizing Gurpatwan Singh Pannun, then they may say that, hey, look, you're harassing him online or you're trolling him online or whatever, right? But so in Texas, they actually made transnational repression crime, actual crime, which California has not done. Now, the entire Hindu community and Indian diaspora just never even knew about it till it passed. We all, because everyone was focused on California. But that brings up another question that, look, there is a bipartisan support because Texas being a very red state and California being a very blue state. And this law, if you look at our report, we have pointed out that similar bills have been proposed in at least half a dozen or more states. So that brings up, so it's obvious that, and there is a bill introduced in U.S. Senate and U.S. House, and they both are bipartisan. So now you see this plethora of legislations, a patchwork. Someone says it should be a criminal action. Someone says train the law enforcement. Somebody says monitor and report every year. So all these bills are different. So our demand from HinduPACT is that exactly what you pointed out, which is nobody can deal with this kind of patchwork, non-uniform implement laws that vary from state to state. I mean, here you can drive 6 hours and you can cross 6 states on the East Coast, and every time you have a different law on what is TnR and what is not. So what we have said is that rationalize the bills and make it only a federal offense, because foreign policy, if you look at it, it really belongs to Department of State. And so the enforcer of these things, these transnational repression, should be a federal agency, whether it's FBI working with the State Department, because you have to understand the foreign policy and all of that. So what are the drivers behind it? So this is much better done at a federal level and not at a patchwork of these states, which are right now trying to do one up on the other. So exactly, what you are referring to.
Thank you so much. And Deepti ji, I have a question for you. SB-509, it looks like it is now held in suspense, which means probably it's not going to go through not because they don't want to pass it, but because there are no funds, and also that there is some already existing training programs in place. But why is this reflected upon Hindu places of worship? Lot of vandalization taking place by trying to repeatedly connect with this transnational repression. Why are Hindus becoming collateral damage?
So I think I will add one more thing, that HinduPACT, representing Hindu community, we are not saying that TnR is wrong. We are not saying that it should not be there. We are saying that it should be done in a rightful manner, right? When we go back to SB-509, rightfully said, Shia, state does not have the funds. The first thing that came up was the millions of dollars that would be spent on this training, when the lawmakers and the police and other departments are already trained. They already have that kind of a training provided to them to deal with these things. And rather, the Hindu community itself has been facing, like you rightfully said, right, they are being the target of so many vandalizations, so much of Hindu phobia. That's the question. Why is one particular community being the target? And I was present in Sacramento when we were having the hearing on this bill, and in the garb of generalizing this, it clearly has been targeting one single community. And then recently, like I think yesterday, we found out that the governor Newsom has been approached by the Khalistani group that he needs to take certain action related to SB-509. So because the ideological, again back to that thing, the ideological reasoning behind it, these are anecdotal instances that they are bringing up. There is no evidence. There's no evidential circumstance there that they're asking this bill to be supported on behalf of. So singling out one community due to certain lobbying, and that can be at a state level or federal level, that is not the right thing. We are not saying that the government should not make their citizens safe. We are saying it needs to be done in the right manner.
Thank you so much.
If you don't mind, I just interject one thing. So the SB-509 is no longer in suspension. It has already passed the California State Senate, and it is moving through assembly now.
Yes.
Yeah. So as of last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of wastage of taxpayer money is how I see it. That I have a right to my opinion, and this comes under freedom of speech. I have to qualify this now. So, viewers, you have to make up your mind. Everybody is trying to work hard, trying to make our future secure for our children. But
Right.
a lot of things are happening around you that you are going to be impacted with. So please help us out, support HinduPACT in whichever way you can, and we're going to have more such conversations. I did not know that SB 509 had passed the Senate. That's
Yeah.
a big concern. So let's move forward, and I think we need to make sure that the average citizen is cognizant of the kind of headwinds they are facing. And for some reason now, I mean, I'm an independent, Ajay ji, Deepti ji, I can say this thing. I'm equidistant from both these parties. Neither of them seem to really understand what humanity is. We're all human beings first.
Yeah. I see, as you correctly said a little while ago, that Indians and Hindus have become collateral damage in this. Our thing, our community got inserted into this later in the
Yes,
game, but it has picked up a lot of steam because the Indian American Muslim Council brought out a report this March, and they said that, oh, it's not just Sikhs, but it's also the Indian Muslims who have been persecuted and repressed in outside of India. And they cite examples of people whose visas were denied. Now, as Marco Rubio has said, having visa is not a right. It's at the discretion of the government, and if
a
government thinks that,
privilege. Yeah.
yeah, it's a privilege, right? It's a privilege. It's not an absolute right that you have a PIO card. And just because government of India decides in its own assessment that you're causing harm to unity, integrity of India, or you're then Indian government, just as the US government has a right to say that we don't want to grant you a PIO card, or we don't, or there's a Tarir who is a journalist. He has a Pakistani father, and he didn't disclose it when he applied for PIO card, and then when Indian government found out, they they canceled his PIO card, and he's very upset. But there's a condition in the law. India is a law-abiding country. In the law, it is clearly stated that a person who has a Pakistani parent cannot have a PIO card for security and other reasons. Now they've added, so that is, but Indian American Muslim Council, sure enough, added his case as also example of transnational repression. So we have listed about 6 laws that India follows in this space that no other repressive regime follows. That it has to do with who's accused in India for red notices that are sent out for international arrest. And these are all done lawfully, and there are mutual reciprocal arrangements that people follow, and all of that. So they're called the red alert notices. So these are the kinds of things that India fully follows the law, and yet they are saying that now if you were to speak out in favor of Indian government, you may be aiding Indian government in transnational repression. Now take this in combination with another law, which is called FARA, which is the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And now you have a 1-2 punch. You have a government who can come after any activist and any, regardless of First Amendment rights or whatever, and say, hey, you are acting as an agent of foreign government. Now, the FARA does not require you to have uh, money exchanged. You don't have to have the government on the other side. It could be government, it could be individual, it could be a non-profit organization, a for-profit company whose interest you are promoting in America. So you have to register as a foreign agent. Now, again, how do you balance it with First Amendment and all that? Again, open to interpretation. Now you say that, okay, now you are engaged, you're online bullying someone by doing a show like this, then it becomes in case of Texas, it can become a criminal offense. So now you have a perfect 1-2 punch, that if a repressive government in America wants to target you, then they can easily target you with that. And
So
that
this
is
is the
Yeah.
inverse TNR. Inverse
inverse
TNR.
TnR.
and
Exactly.
and yeah, and I try to bring in a layman's feelings into, or the thoughts into this, right? When I moved to US almost 24 years ago, and this is home for me now. I'm a US citizen, but at the same time, there are people from Indian origin like myself. We have certain affinity towards our own community or our own religious things, and people who are talking bad against just in layman's term, right? Like bad against India or doing taking actions against India. I, as a normal citizen, this is where we felt like this is the land of the free. As a normal citizen, like you just said, Shia, that you are a YouTuber. If I go on Twitter and I go on any social media and I express myself, now is if that is repressed, how is that for me as a layman, as any other person? So I'll be scared of saying anything. I'll be scared of putting my expression out there just because I'll be blamed for something that I'm not doing. It's how is that a free speech? How? And we know there have been certain instances in recent past where people of our own community are facing some similar actions and legal actions because of these things. That is not freedom from any perspective. This is I love America, this is home to me now, but I still have affinity towards certain ideological things that I follow or I believe in.
Thank you so much. And this is not the end. This is the beginning. This is going to go on. And let's see how this thing plays out. Certainly, a lot of concern for those living in Texas and California. I hope that these things kind of sort themselves out. I was surprised that the bill passed. Okay, I thought it was like, thrown in the dustbin or something like that.
No.
But anyway, these are all things. There are political motivations behind this. And somebody's oxen is being taken out. So these are all last gasp efforts, I think. So thank you so much, Ajay Shah ji. Thank you so much, Deepti Mahajan ji. And we'll be back again with more updates on this. You should be concerned. And I think make your voice heard. Write to your local congressman, senator, saying that, look, Hindus have become collateral damage in this. Please take care of this problem. How is it that what have we got to do with this? I see that as a very strong point, because temples are getting vandalized. Our approach to life is being questioned, and that's not right. That is absolutely not right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And
Thank you.
Deepti ji, namaskar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.